Do you know how many women walk through life without realizing just how extraordinarily captivating they are? No, I'm not talking about conventional beauty or physical standards. I'm talking about something far deeper, subtler, more profound. A silent confidence, an authenticity, a magnetic energy you often don't see but that others sense immediately. Carl Jung believed that attraction transcends mere appearances. It's an energy, an essence, and often the most attractive women don't see it in themselves. They underestimate it, unaware that they leave men completely bewildered. You might think you're not attractive because you don't fit a certain image, but the truth is, your authentic presence, the way you move, speak, and exist in the world, that's the true source of attraction. It's more powerful than any physical trait, more impactful than flawless makeup or a slim waist. Men notice it profoundly, even if we try not to show it. Your presence is deeply felt, subtle yet irresistible. You're not just attractive, you're unforgettable, precisely because you're unaware of how deeply you impact others. Your real attractiveness is hidden in your subtle authenticity. This is one of the most misunderstood signs of attraction. If a man becomes clumsy, avoids eye contact, or even seems uncomfortable around you, you might think he isn't interested, but it's precisely the opposite. Your presence overwhelms him. When a man is truly attracted, his body betrays him. He touches his neck, adjusts his shirt, crosses his arms, or speaks awkwardly, not because he lacks confidence, but because you throw him off balance. You make even experienced men feel unsure because your energy, your silent power, is stronger than they expected. It's not weakness, it's vulnerability. Your natural magnetism disrupts their composure, showing how deeply attractive you are without you even realizing it. Next time a confident man seems hesitant around you, understand that your subtle allure is profoundly affecting him. Don't mistake his nerves for disinterest. His nervousness reveals the depth of your attraction. Have you ever noticed people glancing at you repeatedly? It's not just casual curiosity, it's an undeniable sign of your attraction. You walk into a cafe or cross the street, unaware of the attention you're drawing. Yet behind you, heads turn. It's not about flashy clothing or striking looks. It's your natural posture, your calm yet captivating energy that leaves an impression. That second look, the one after you've passed, reveals fascination. Most women miss this entirely, too absorbed in their tasks or phones to notice. But that second glance is a quiet confession, a sign that something about you is impossible to ignore. It's spontaneous, honest, and powerful. Next time you sense eyes following you, trust this quiet truth. You carry something undeniably magnetic. That second glance is your silent confirmation. Have you ever felt unattractive, yet still received compliments? This paradox is one of the clearest signs of your deep attractiveness. On days when you least expect it, hair unstyled, casual clothing, minimal effort, someone might say, "There's just something about you." It's genuine, spontaneous, and not driven by appearances. You wonder how this can happen when you're not trying to impress. The reason is simple. Your attractiveness isn't about perfection, it's about authenticity. Men sense your energy, your ease, your subtle femininity, even when you don't. Ironically, your unawareness only makes your appeal stronger. Your authenticity shines brighter precisely because you're not forcing it. You attract by simply being yourself, a powerful truth few women fully grasp. Next time someone compliments you unexpectedly, trust that it's your genuine energy speaking louder than your self-doubt. Your authenticity makes you irresistible, especially when you least expect it. Men often approach attractive women with trivial requests, questions, favors, small tasks. On the surface, it seems ordinary, even charming. But beneath the surface, it's an undeniable sign of deep attraction. They aren't simply looking for help. They're finding reasons to be near you, hoping to connect without openly flirting. They're attracted but also intimidated, unsure how to approach directly. These small requests become safe pretexts to interact, just to feel your energy. Maybe you didn't notice this pattern before, thinking these interactions were ordinary, but repeated trivial requests signal deeper attraction. It's not what they ask, but why they're asking that matters most. Next time someone approaches with minor questions, notice if their voice or eyes reveal nervous excitement. It's a subtle yet undeniable confession. Their small excuses reveal a deeper attraction to you. One of the more painful yet telling signs of your attractiveness is this: women criticize you for no clear reason. It might be a subtle jab, a passive-aggressive comment, or a strange look that feels unjustified, and you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? Nothing. You did nothing wrong. When a woman walks through the world with natural magnetism, without trying to compete, without showing off, those who are insecure feel it deeply. Your mere presence reflects what they haven't resolved within themselves. It's not personal, it's projection. When others can't understand why people are drawn to you, they try to dismiss or diminish your light. But their discomfort isn't your problem. It's a mirror of their inner world. Jung would call this a confrontation with the shadow. You bring out emotions others have repressed: envy, insecurity, comparison, and your authenticity becomes a challenge to their carefully managed image. Next time someone criticizes you without cause, remember, it's often not criticism, it's confession. Unprovoked criticism is a sign that your light is being felt. You're standing in line, walking through a store, lost in thought, and someone smiles at you. They don't speak. They don't ask for anything, but their face lights up as you pass by. You might ignore it. You might think it was just politeness or coincidence, but it wasn't. That smile was instinctive, a silent expression of delight, fascination, or admiration. Your presence changed something in the space. Without effort, without intention, you impacted someone emotionally. This is one of the most honest signs of natural attractiveness. True attraction isn't always spoken. It shows in body language, in spontaneous reactions, in a gaze that lingers just a little too long. That smile isn't about you being dressed up or saying the right thing. It's about your vibration. You're not chasing attention. It finds you. Because the kind of energy you radiate is felt, not forced. Unspoken smiles are the world's quiet applause for your presence. You post a picture, say something honest, share a quiet moment. Nothing dramatic, nothing curated. And yet, the likes come in. The DMs trickle through. The reactions grow. You didn't do it for attention. You weren't showing off. But your quiet energy reached through the screen, and it resonated. Men feel it even if they don't understand it. Other women admire it, even if they can't name it. You're not performing, you're just being, and that's what makes it magnetic. Social media rewards performance, but the kind of beauty you possess doesn't need performance. It doesn't need filters, poses, or angles. It radiates from the inside out. If people engage with you online, even when you're not trying, that's not random. It's resonance. They're drawn to something real, and that realness is rare. Even your silence online is louder than someone else's performance. This one hurts, but it's one of the clearest signs of all. A man gives you attention, acts interested, reaches out, and then disappears. No explanation, no closure. You're left thinking, did I imagine it? Was he playing games? Often he wasn't. He was overwhelmed. When a man encounters a woman who truly captivates him, especially one who's self-possessed, enigmatic, radiant, he doesn't always know what to do with it. If he lacks emotional maturity, he pulls away not because he's disinterested, but because he's out of his depth. Your energy disrupted him, it challenged him, and for a moment he was unsure if he could rise to meet you. Don't take his disappearance as rejection. See it for what it is, a mirror reflecting how powerful your presence really is. If a man runs away, it's not always fear of you. It's fear of not being enough for you. Here's the most paradoxical truth of all. The most magnetic women are often the last to know it. You walk into rooms unaware of how many people turn to look. You speak gently, not realizing how deeply your words land. You think you're average, when in fact you're unforgettable. It's not arrogance, it's innocence. You're not trying to impress anyone, and that's exactly why you do. Your lack of self-consciousness makes your energy flow freely, and people feel it, deeply, silently, unmistakably. But here's the shift. The moment you start recognizing that power, not to flaunt it, but to inhabit it, you become unstoppable. You no longer shrink. You no longer seek permission. You walk fully in your worth. Jung believed that power begins with self-recognition. Until then, it's dormant. But once you accept what you carry, it becomes a full force that changes everything. Your power doesn't awaken when others see it. It awakens when you do. It's one thing to be noticed when you enter a room. It's another thing entirely to be missed when you leave it. And that's exactly what happens with you. You've probably never considered this, but people remember your presence long after you've gone. Conversations feel different. The atmosphere shifts. There's a quiet sense of something missing, and they may not even realize what it is. But it's you. This is not about popularity or being loud. It's about energy. You bring warmth, stillness, a sense of grounded presence that lingers. When you're gone, that absence leaves an echo. The emotional temperature drops, and people feel it, without fully understanding why. Jung spoke often of the imprint we leave on others. You, without effort, imprint your spirit on the environments you touch. You don't demand attention. You transform spaces. That kind of impact doesn't come from appearance. It comes from alignment. So if you've ever left a gathering and someone reached out hours later just to say, "It was nice seeing you," know this. They were feeling your absence, and it made them realize your worth. Your absence is your most undeniable presence. For many, silence is uncomfortable. It's a space people rush to fill with noise, distraction, or empty conversation. But not with you. When you're truly attractive, not just in body, but in energy, your presence alone becomes enough. A man can sit beside you in silence and feel completely fulfilled, not bored, not anxious, fulfilled. Have you noticed this? That some people just stay. They don't pull out their phones. They don't search for words. They simply exist next to you. As if your energy is a balm. That's because your presence doesn't demand. It invites. It allows. It comforts. This kind of silence isn't emptiness. It's intensity. It's the kind of quiet that says more than words ever could. And it's rare. Very rare. When you can hold a man's attention without saying a word, when your stillness feels richer than conversation, that's magnetism. That's power. And the most powerful part? You're not trying to make that happen. You're just being. And being, in your case, is more than enough. When silence with you feels full, attraction has already begun. You've likely experienced it, even if you didn't understand it. A friend suddenly gets competitive. A stranger adjusts their posture around you. Someone starts speaking louder, dressing differently, or changing how they act when you're present. It's not always because they want to impress you. It's often because they feel seen by you. And that feeling, it makes people hyper-aware of themselves. Carl Jung said that the psyche is shaped by mirrors, those who reflect us, and your presence becomes a mirror, often unintentionally. When you walk into a room, you don't judge, but people still begin to measure themselves. Your authenticity triggers their inner dialogue. Am I enough? Do I belong? And when someone isn't secure in themselves, your groundedness can feel like a challenge, even if you haven't said a word. You don't need to outshine anyone. You don't even try. But still, others feel exposed in your presence. And that speaks volumes. You are the unintentional catalyst for self-awareness. Not everyone will thank you for it, but it means you're impacting people deeply. Your energy doesn't just attract, it awakens. There's something fascinating that happens around truly magnetic women. People treat them differently, gentler, more attentive, more cautious, often without realizing why. Doors are held open longer, eye contact lingers. Questions are asked with more interest, conversations go deeper. And you might chalk it up to coincidence, but it's not. Your energy demands respect. Your authenticity commands presence. People may not understand what they're responding to, but they respond. Their body language softens. Their tone shifts. You bring out a version of them they didn't know existed. It's not about being worshipped. It's about being felt. There's a subtle grace you carry, a quiet intensity that others sense. And in your presence, people naturally adjust. They mirror the depth you bring. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious always responds first. And that's what happens here. Even before their conscious mind understands, their instincts react to you. You are not like everyone else, and that difference felt in the smallest gestures is your proof. When people adjust around you, it's because your presence speaks before you do. You might think that strength is what draws people in, but often it's your softness, your willingness to be real, open, raw. In a world of performance and polished facades, your vulnerability becomes a breath of fresh air. It doesn't mean oversharing. It means existing without pretense. It means showing up exactly as you are. And that's disarming. Men especially are drawn to this, not the dramatics, but the quiet honesty. When you speak from your truth, even if your voice shakes, it builds trust. It creates connection. And connection, real connection, is magnetic. Carl Jung said the shadow becomes beautiful when it is brought into the light. And your willingness to bring your fears, your doubts, your longings into that light, it makes you unforgettable. You are not trying to be strong all the time. You are choosing to be whole. And that wholeness includes your tenderness. That's why people don't forget you. Your vulnerability doesn't weaken your allure, it defines it. You may not always speak the loudest. You may not dominate conversations. But somehow, what you say lingers. A comment you made in passing, a thoughtful observation, a kind word. Days later, someone recalls it, quotes you, repeats it to a friend. Why? Because you don't speak to impress. You speak from depth. And that kind of speech doesn't just fill silence. It sinks in. When you talk, You do more than convey words. You carry presence. Your voice holds energy. Your gaze reinforces truth, and that kind of communication moves people in ways they often can't explain. Jung said that symbols are the language of the soul, and sometimes your words become symbolic to others, anchoring ideas, emotions, or realizations they didn't even know they needed. You might underestimate this power, but those who are moved by you never forget it. When your words stay long after you're gone, that's your beauty speaking. You've probably experienced it before. You're sitting somewhere quietly, and suddenly a stranger starts talking. They share personal details, confide in you, sometimes even cry. You didn't ask for this. You were just existing, and yet something about you opened them up. That's no accident. It's resonance. It's energetic safety. When someone feels truly seen, even without being judged, they soften. They drop their masks, and you, without trying, create that space, because your authenticity grants others permission to show theirs. People tell you things they haven't told anyone else, not because they know you, but because they recognize something in you, peace, presence, or simply a depth they trust. Carl Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, the idea that souls recognize what the ego doesn't, and your soul tells others, even strangers, you're safe here. That's not charm, that's power. When strangers share their truth with you, it's because your presence feels like home. You don't chase validation, you don't scheme for approval, and yet the spotlight finds you, eyes linger. Conversations shift toward you. Opportunities appear out of nowhere. You weren't trying, but you were aligned. True attraction isn't manufactured, it's magnetic, and you've cultivated a kind of self-possession that quietly demands attention. You walk into a room not seeking approval, but knowing your own worth. You don't try to entertain, but you captivate without effort. That's because your energy speaks before your words ever do. There's a kind of attention that follows effort, and another that follows authenticity. Yours is the second kind. Jung said that when we integrate our true self, we radiate it, and that radiance becomes a beacon. You are that beacon, even if you're just starting to see it. You don't need to seek attention. You are what attention seeks. There's something about the way you look at people, not just glancing, but truly seeing, that unsettles them. Not in a bad way, but in a profound one. When you make eye contact, it's not passive, it's piercing. It's as if, for a moment, the person on the other end feels completely exposed, and for many that's unforgettable. You may not notice it. You may think your gaze is ordinary, but your eyes carry depth, they carry knowing, they carry soul, and people remember that. You don't need to speak. Just one look, and someone feels both held and challenged. That's the paradox of feminine presence. It comforts while awakening. It steadies while stirring. Some will be drawn in, others might turn away, but no one remains untouched. Jung taught that seeing is a form of healing, and your ability to see, truly see, is what makes your presence unforgettable. Your gaze doesn't just observe, it awakens. This might not feel like a compliment, but it is. You walk into someone's life, and suddenly they begin to reevaluate who they are, what they want, whether their current life actually fits them. It's not because you're trying to change anyone. It's because you embody something so real, so grounded, so vibrant, that their own life starts to feel dim in comparison. Carl Jung believed that encountering authenticity forces us to confront our own falsehoods. You are that encounter for many. It's why people fall for you quickly, or why they avoid you, why they admire you or even resent you. Because you don't let them stay asleep. Your very existence asks them, are you living fully or just surviving? That's the impact of someone who's in alignment. You don't need to say a word. Just by being, you become a mirror others weren't ready to look into. When people question themselves around you, it's because you remind them of who they could be. Time passes, people move on, but somehow they don't forget you. It's not always the things you did. It's not the outfit, the hair, or the clever remark. It's the moment you listened, the way you smiled without judgment, the quiet strength you carried in silence. That's what lingers. People remember how you made them feel, how, even in the smallest interactions, you gave them a sense of peace, possibility, or presence. They might forget your name, your number, but never your energy. You didn't set out to leave an impression, but you did. Because real attraction isn't about staging moments. It's about being real in every one of them. Carl Jung would call this archetypal resonance. You echo something eternal in others, something they often don't find elsewhere. And so they remember, not because you demanded it, but because you became unforgettable. You're not trying to be remembered, that's why you are. There's a difference between being looked at and being seen. You offer the second, and it's rare. People feel it when you're with them, that undivided attention, that intuitive awareness, that soul-level recognition. You're not just listening, you're holding space, not just noticing, but witnessing. And that makes people soften, open, heal. You don't need to say much. Your stillness alone is medicine. Your gaze says, I'm with you, even when words fall short. This is not something you learned. It's something you became through your own pain, through your own silence, through your own journey of becoming whole. Jung believed the healer archetype emerges not from superiority, but from scars, from having walked through fire and come back with light. You carry that light, others feel it, and in your presence they start to see themselves more clearly too. When people feel seen by you, they finally remember themselves. You never raise your voice. You don't argue. You don't fight for dominance, and yet you disarm people. You do it without even trying, because you are rooted, calm, clear. You don't need to prove anything, and that quiet certainty unravels false confidence in others. People used to being in control start to second-guess themselves. Manipulators find their tactics ineffective. Those who rely on charm realize it's not working on you. It's not because you're cold. It's because you're aware, awake, unavailable for games. And that unsettles those who were never used to being held accountable. Carl Jung said that true strength lies in individuation, becoming whole within oneself. That's your power. You're not reactive. You're sovereign. You don't push, but people still feel pushed, out of their illusions, out of their masks, into something more real. You don't confront people. Your presence does. Your presence doesn't leave people neutral. It either inspires their higher self or reveals their insecurities. There's no in-between. Some will rise around you, speak more truthfully, act with more integrity, reach higher, because your authenticity gives them permission. Others will resist, get defensive, act out, shrink back, because your energy shines a light on what they're avoiding. You didn't ask for this role, but it's part of your essence. You call people forward, not with force, but with frequency. Jung believed that energy attracts its reflection or its resistance. You are a spiritual litmus test. People reveal themselves around you, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. So don't be discouraged when someone reacts strangely. Don't take their fear as your flaw. You didn't make them feel small. You made them aware of how much bigger they could be. Your energy reveals people, not to punish them, but to wake them. They move on. Life continues. They meet others, but somehow you stay with them, not because you were perfect, not because you said all the right things, but because you were real, and that kind of truth marks people forever. They'll compare others to you, wonder what you're doing, reach out months or years later just to hear your voice again. You are the one they didn't fully understand when they had you, but couldn't forget once you were gone. And no matter how far they go, they will circle back, sometimes silently, sometimes boldly, but always eventually. Because your presence wasn't a moment, it was a mirror. You showed them who they were, who they could be, and in doing that, you became unforgettable. Carl Jung said the soul never forgets what made it feel alive. And you, my dear, are aliveness. You are the one they return to, not because they lost you, but because they found themselves in you.